A live look now at Capitol Hill. The mayors of four sanctuary cities, Boston, Denver, Chicago, and New York, are all testifying at a House oversight hearing. And we've been covering this. We did last hour on the Faulkner Focus. It's gotten spicy at times. Republicans, I should say, are accusing these mayors of turning a blind eye to the law, wasting millions of illegal aliens, or millions of dollars on those illegal aliens instead of American citizens. It didn't take long for things to get like this.
Let's talk about Tom Homan. Shame on him for lying about my city, for having the nerve to insult our police commissioner who has overseen the safest Boston's been in anyone's lifetime. Bring him here under oath and let's ask him some questions.
Well, we can really get into it about how safe Boston has been. I know you've been doing a lot of reporting on the border. What do you say, Griff?
Well, you know what's crazy, and I'm glad to see this happen. If you go back in 2015, when Kate Steinle was killed on a pier by an illegal alien named Jose Garcia Zarate, he had been deported 5 previous times with multiple convictions in the San Francisco sanctuary city, released him. And I'll give President Trump this credit. He was a candidate in 2015, 2016, and he said about this case, he said, this is an absolute disgrace. Nobody has the guts to talk about it. It won't happen if I become president. He wasn't able to reign in sanctuary cities in his first term. It ran rampant under the Biden administration. And now you're seeing President Trump with a mandate pushing on Congress to try and bring this under control. How many people have died or been raped or had horrendous crimes carried against them since we didn't learn that lesson? And it's unbelievable. It's often, you know, in the border world, people say sanctuary cities are simply sanctuary cities for criminals. And that's what it's become. And you and I were just talking about.
Why do they need a sanctuary? Because they can do anything they want to do all over the country.
It doesn't make sense. If I were a member of Congress at this hearing, I would ask all 4 of those people, how did we get here? How did we not learn the lesson of Kate Steinle? And why in the world can releasing criminal migrants back into the public and not cooperating with ICE, as we just saw and talked about in Denver, how does that possibly serve any goal other than making the community that you represent more dangerous?
All right, let's get to Denver. In fact, Congressman Jim Jordan and Denver Mayor Mike Johnston had a pretty spicy exchange about an illegal Venezuelan gang member freed by Denver authorities in the parking lot of the jail. Just watch this.
But you won't do it that way.
I've seen the video. I've reached out to ICE. I've offered to sit down and coordinate on strategies. If we need to make adjustments to what we do on releases, we'll do that. This is the first time in the 1,226 releases I've heard of.
I read your written testimony last night. I read your written testimony last night. 4.5 pages. And you used the word safe, safer, or safety 13 times. Talking about my job is to protect the safety of the people in Denver. We prioritizing making sure everyone in our community is safe. That's a lie.
Look, they let that TDA member out, not holding him in a detention center until I showed up, nothing like that. They let him out in the parking lot, and he assaulted a cop in that parking lot. That's what they were going back and forth with. Look, Lisa, I don't think they see their own citizens as people. What is this?
Well, I mean, look, sanctuary cities protect undocumented immigrants over their own citizens. I mean, that's what sanctuary city is. And this is a much-deserved public flogging of these mayors of sanctuary cities. And some of them have some political vulnerabilities as well. Michelle Wu is facing a Democrat primary challenge from Josh Kraft, Robert Kraft's son, who could potentially be very well funded. Eric Adams here is facing a primary challenge as well in his mayoral race. Andrew Cuomo is actually up in polling right now. And also, I believe he understands that there's a political vulnerability here because he wrote an op-ed in the New York Post trying to defend the sanctuary city policies. But, you know, all this is a matter of will. Just as easily as they've made their cities sanctuary cities, they could also undo it. We saw that with Gavin Newsom in California when he was able to magically clean up San Francisco when China's President Xi came in. Right. So it's just a matter of will. And clearly they would rather put these illegal aliens over their own citizens, including the safety of their citizens.
Well, look, you know, being a sanctuary city, there was an op-ed today by Mayor Adams, who's one of the mayors there from New York City. Being a sanctuary city also does not give New York City the authority to violate federal immigration laws. To the contrary, New York City will always comply with city, state, and federal laws as it does now. It's not his decision whether or not this stays a sanctuary city. That's city leaders here, all of them together, and he's outnumbered by just how liberal they are, a former Republican, Eric Adams.
And that underscores the disconnect between these liberal mayors and their constituents that are crying for safety, protection, and to feel heard. Focus on Boston for a second, because I want to underscore the point that the ICE detainer requests serve as well as a backstop for this continued to be infected criminal justice system that has all of the holdovers from the Soros-funded DAs and all of those woke and liberal policies that constituents are trying so desperately to help eradicate. So let's focus on Boston. Just December 4th, a convicted illegal immigrant murderer who beat his pregnant girlfriend to death in front of her 5-year-old son was released. Of course he was released. Here's the exact reason why. It's because his adjustment was positive in jail, and he expressed remorse for his actions and reminded everyone that he called the police himself after he beat his girlfriend to death. Now, my point is, as the DA obviously vociferously rejected and went against the release of this individual, they specifically articulated that he was a danger, a flight danger, because as an illegal immigrant, he liked to continuously come across the border with different aliases. So what happens? Boston releases him and ICE picks him up. That is the efficacy of President Trump's executive orders being carried out by Tom Homan and Director No.
Yeah, I mean, and I mentioned Boston with Michelle Wu, the mayor, saying, you know, it's this bastion of safety for people. You gave an example, a heartbreaking example. Kaylee.
Yeah, I love that you just said bastion of safety and Wu, because the site you played, soundbite from Jim Jordan, when he said, oh, you keep saying safety, he's saying this to the Denver mayor. This is a trend. I mean, I don't know if they all like compared notes and said, let's just go in and like give lip service to safety. But Mayor Brandon Johnston said, and this was in his opener, as mayor of Chicago, nothing is more important to me than safety and well-being. Really? Because Nate Foy just spoke about a illegal immigrant who was suspected of abusing children or doing something nefarious with children, who now is accused of murder. So that happened in your jurisdiction. You care about safety? Right.
Wow. I mean, I don't know how they get past it. Art Del Cueto, vice president of the Border Patrol Council, said last hour, it is page 2 of the ICE detainer. Keep them held until we get there, and let us know with 48 hours at least to get there. In Denver, they're giving like an hour's notice and letting them go in the parking lot.